Hello, dear judges. We're from National Taiwan University, and today we are going to present our analysis on Porsche. Before we begin, we would like to take some time to walk you through our presentation. And first of all, after reading and analyzing the case, the problem waiting to be solved is salient here. How should Porsche optimize its customer experience to boost satisfaction? And in order to answer this problem, we came up with two solutions, which is first, improving the customer service journey, and second, alleviating the delayed delivery problem caused by the just-in-time manufacturing process. And after introducing the details and how to implement our solutions, we will move on to the risk analysis and what kind of mitigation strategies we will use to cope with them. Okay, so now let's move on to our first section, defining the problem. We found several problems in the current sale process. Most importantly, there is an agency problem existing in the company's distribution policy, which causes other derived problems, making Porsche unable to take corresponding action to satisfy customers' needs immediately. So why there is an agency problem? We think it is a result of using a dealership. Porsche usually outsources its regional distribution business to an authorized local car dealership. When a customer wants to buy a car from Porsche, she can only access to a store operating by the dealership, whose sales representative is the only person she will contact during the whole sales process. And in most cases, it's actually a triple win arrangement, because the sales representative acts as the private assistant for the customer, because Porsche is such a luxury brand that every sale case needs to be highly customized. And by using a dealership, Porsche can exploit the experience from the local distributor who knows the best for the local customers. However, in some cases, like the one in this case, agency problems may arise because what the sales representative cares is his performance, not the brand name, which is what Porsche truly cares about as a luxury brand. As a result, sometimes the dealer would act dishonestly to make a deal without considering the brand damage to Porsche. Furthermore, since Porsche has no direct contact with the customer, the company receives no feedback and hence cannot adjust the mistake the dealer made. So how does this agency problem plays out in the sale process? Let's take a look into the customer's journey. First, the mid-sale phase. In our case, when Paul, the customer, wants to adjust the specification of his order, he can only ask David, the sales representative, to send the amendment to Porsche. After that, there is no other channel for Paul to check if the amendment has been correctly sent or not. And because Porsche has no direct contact with the customer, there is no chance for Porsche to double check and verify if the state of the order is correct. Also, no contact with customer means no feedback to adjust a mistake. Next, in the post-sale phase, agency problem becomes more severe. First, we found Porsche's post-sale survey and the following customer service is pretty poor. And furthermore, because Porsche has already delivered the car to a dealership, it now has finished its obligation. If anything happened at this time, like in our case, Paul found out that some options were missing, it is actually the fault of the dealership, not Porsche. In this case, the sales representative should take the full responsibility and provide the following remedy measure for the customer. However, the sales representative has the intention to act dishonestly here. David actually laid to Paul to make Paul sign the contract and customer service evaluation without checking the details. Such dishonesty is because of the misalignment that the dealer does not care if the Porsche's brand will be damaged or not. He only wants his deal to be done. And because of the same reason, the remedy measures David proposed to Paul were pretty bad. And finally, we also found that the just-in-time manufacturing process Porsche uses will expose some risk on the company. When the low inventory level faces the supply bottleneck, the lead time will get longer, lowering the customer's satisfaction. As a result, we believe that the problem statement of Porsche is how will Porsche enhance its customer experience facing agency problems in sale process and longer lead time caused by just-in-time. In order to answer this question, we have to come up with two solutions, and I will pass my time to my teammate, Alan, to introduce the first one.
Thank you, Ian, for pointing out the problems Porsche is currently facing. And now I'm going to present to you our first recommendation, which is to enhance the current customer service. And in order to do so, we believe there is two aspects we need to consider. The first one is on the customer side. And we believe by improving the mobile application Porsche is currently operating, it will be able to provide order transparency so that the customers will be far more engaged with the whole buying process than right now. On the other hand, based on the agency problems Ian mentioned before, we believe it is also crucial to make some adjustments on how Porsche interact with their dealers to improve the service delivered to the customers. After implementing on both sides, we expect to see a boost in overall customer satisfaction, which is what Porsche strives for. As for exactly how we recommend them to facilitate it, please follow through the next couple of slides with me. Okay, before we jump into how Porsche should improve its order procedure, please allow me to introduce to you their current mobile application, which is called My Porsche app. This app has an order tracking feature, which allows you to see how your order is being processed through your cell phone. However, it is only restricted to Porsche 911 sports car orders. How this app works is that after you placed an order of your very own Porsche 911 at a dealer, you will receive a link or a personal code. Then you would have to download the My Porsche app and enter the code to see the status of your order. In the app, you can see where your car is currently is, such as it is being manufactured, it is being transported to the dock, or it has already arrived at the dealer. This app feature was originally designed to let customers follow through the birth of their dream car through their smartphones, but we believe it has far more potential than just that. We suggest that Porsche expand this app feature upstream of the entire customer buying journey, to the point where the customer first had the intention to have his or her very own Porsche. In our vision, the customer would have to first become a member of Porsche, which they would be able to do so on the My Porsche app. Then, on the app, the customer could arrange for test drives at the nearest dealer to begin with the whole buying process. After the test drive and the type of car is decided, the initial contract signed offline at the dealer then is uploaded onto the app for the customer to be able to keep track of. Later, as for how the customer would like their car to be designed, they would customize it on the app and see through their request being confirmed. Finally, after all the customization has been finalized and all the contract being signed, the customer then could check on the app how their car is being processed, just like before. Again, customers could keep track of all their contracts, finalization of designs, order invoices inside this app, leaving little room for errors to happen. What's more, the new features would further diminish the ambiguity and miscommunication caused by overloaded WhatsApp messages and emails. We believe the transparency brought about by this app would prevent past disasters from happening again and reduce the overall cost of communication. Next, onto the dealer's side. Porsche's little involvement with the buying process had led to agency problems. So we believe they should interact with their dealers more, but come up with remedy plans on their own when mistakes happen. We believe this adjustment of relationship would minimize the agency problems and better services would be provided to the Porsche customers. As for how Porsche should interact with the dealers more, we thought of two approaches that could be done by the customer relation division. The first one is to leverage the customer's usage of My Porsche app mentioned before. In the app, not only will all the data generated during the during the transaction be clear as crystal, but also whenever an error happens or a customer complaint is filed, it will be detected and the customer relation division will be notified immediately. The second is for the regional managers of the customer relation divisions to conduct on-site supervision of the dealers to see whether the sales representatives are serving their customers proficiently. By these two ways, Porsche will be able to discover problems first-handedly and decide on who or how the issue will be resolved. What's more, with the gathered information, Porsche could leverage it as a criteria for dealers' performance evaluation and provide training to them on the things that they may lack. Lastly, no matter how hard Porsche tries to prevent, mistakes are bound to happen. So there should be a good way to deal with them. If the problem is a small one, they could let the dealers handle it on their own. But as for the big ones, such as what Paul had encountered, we believe Porsche should take the matter into their own hands to provide better services. We propose that the remedy for customers when mistakes happen should be offered by Porsche and not the dealers, since Porsche has a better knowledge of their own capabilities and larger drive to serve customers well. So they would be able to provide more practical and sincere solutions. Porsche would then pass the remedies down to the dealers, where they will be asked to pay the entire plan if it was their mistake, and no costs should be transferred to the customer whatsoever. By doing so, the victim will receive better compensation and will be more likely to have a better impression on Porsche. This is the end of our first solution. I will now pass my time to James, who will introduce the second solution on improving the supply chain. Please, James.
Thank you, Alan. In solution 2, we think Porsche can improve their supply chain to face uncertainty better in the future. As we mentioned before, Porsche focuses on customized service and use just-in-time model to manufacture automobiles. Under these policies, Porsche has a higher lead time than other automotive companies. For example, the lead time for a Taycan ranged from 3 to 6 months. And we think the policies couldn't work very well under uncertain situations. From 2019 to 2020, we saw that COVID-19 spread worldwide, causing production disruptions and demand slumps in many industries. To avoid excessive inventory costs, automotive companies started to decrease their inventory to a very low level and cancel some materials orders. However, in 2021, thanks to the financial support from the governments, the demand and orders for automobiles recovered really fast, especially in the US, Germany, and the UK. Therefore, Porsche had a longer lead time than the original model because they decreased their inventory to an extremely low level after the pandemic outbreak and faced a shortage of raw materials. We think a longer lead time will influence customer satisfaction, and the company needs an improvement to avoid the same situations. So we recommend that Porsche can switch the supply chain from just-in-time model to just-in-case model. To do so, there are 3 methods can increase their flexibility under uncertain situations. First, they can increase the backup inventory and find more materials suppliers to avoid a shortage of materials, maintaining the affordable lead time to service their customers well, even if the supply chain bottleneck occurs around the world. Second, they can standardize their elementary components and achieve production capacity sharing under the Volkswagen Group. If some Porsche factories face production disruptions, they can be supported by other automotive companies, such as Audi corporations. Furthermore, we think that cooperation with chips manufacturers can make sure that they have enough automotive chips in the future. Considering the electric cars have become a trend in the future and there are more chips will be installed in an electric car, we believe co-developing automotive chips with chip companies can help Porsche to provide more customized functions and avoid potential chip shortage from increasing demand in the following year. Next, after introducing both of our solutions, we will move on to the implementation timeline. Since updating the current application is cheaper and requires less time, we believe Porsche can start from now and prepare well this year. As for the self-made remedy measures, we still believe it will take only 1 year to conduct surveys and design feasible remedy measures. Therefore, implementation will start in the following year. Next, we estimate that it will take a longer time to increase the backup inventory and find more material suppliers. Also cooperate with chip manufacturers. So they will implement in T2 or T3. Now I will pass to my teammate, Evan.
Thanks, James. As for the financial aspect, we conduct cost-benefit analysis to further support the feasibility of our first solution, which is aiming for enhancing the customer service of Porsche. There is a My Porsche app development cost, which is one-time expenditure, and the following are expended annually, including the app maintenance cost, wage cost of the new customer relation team, and the trainer of the dealers. And the total cost is 2,652,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is at a reasonable level. The benefit is expected to be the higher customer satisfaction, leading to a higher customer retention rate in the long run. So moving on to the risk analysis. First, for our first solution, enhancing customer service, it is possible that the dealership will be unhappy with a change in the policies of dealer supervision. However, we think that it is reasonable to make regulation for solving the agency problem. In addition, under the policies, the dealer's customer service can be enhanced through a training program and supervision, making the reputation of a dealership better in the long run. So a dealer will accept the policies. Next, regarding our second solution, which is conducting the safety margin of inventory, it is possible that the inventory level might be too excessive, causing ineffective inventory turnover. We consider that Porsche can leverage its relation with Volkswagen to transform its unused inventory to other brands, like Volkswagen itself or Audi. To summarize, although the reputation of Porsche about customer relation is outstanding, there is still room to be better off. Through these two solutions, we strongly believe that every customer who desires for his or her dream car, just as Paul in this case, can be well served, which is definitely beneficial to Porsche in the long run. And this is the end of our analysis. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, team from Taiwan University. We'll now put the timer at 15 minutes. Okay, let's make it 15. Yes, fantastic. Judges, please start your questions.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's a very informative presentation. So I think one thing that you have brought up is the dealership. So I think you highlight one point in terms of like the dealer being part of the items that we need to like tackle. So how will you plan your communications and negotiations with dealers, because like you are having quite a bit of change in terms of the engagement model with them? How do you engage them that it is good for them?
Okay, thank you for the question, and I will take it. I'm Alan. So the question you are asking is how we might engage with the dealers, right? And we believe we will try to be more involved in the whole sales process of when selling a car, because because in the before situations, Porsche would sell the cars to the dealers, and the dealers would take care of the sales to the customers. And after Porsche sells the cars to the dealers, it will not become in their inventory anymore. So Porsche has no jurisdiction over their products whatsoever. And we believe that it's a bad thing for Porsche because it causes agency problems. So due to this problem, we came up with a solution to get more involved, like we said before. So the more interaction part, we would we would try to negotiate with them some new terms in our contract. Like, for example, like we said before, if any mistakes happens on the dealer side, the dealers should pay for the whole remedy plan for the customers, and there should be no questions about it because it was their mistakes in the first place. But the remedy plans will be held out by the Porsche company, not the dealers. Does that answer your question, or may I answer it more?
Yeah, maybe just a quick follow-up. So
yes,
you are asking the dealer for more and putting more responsibility for them. So what's the upside for them? So what stopped the dealers from like Porsche? You're just one of the luxury brand. Why don't I switch over to sell Ferrari?
We believe Porsche has a higher bargaining power in this case because of the demand for Porsche. So we believe that dealers would have less bargaining power in this case. And the upside of this is that because since we're going to be more interactive in the whole sales process, so we would be more accurate and more sufficient with the information on how we evaluate the dealers. So there'll be more criteria, like we mentioned before. So based on their performance, we would probably raise the benefits or the payoffs to the dealers more if we were able to interact with the whole sales process. Yeah, that's how we believe Porsche would deal with this problem. Thank you.
And I would like to add something. So in the short run, it seems like those dealers are worse off. But in the long run, because these measures can actually decrease the turnout ratio, so the chargeback or any other remedy measure would be less for those dealers to tackle with. So actually, our solution would make the relationship between Porsche, the dealership, and the customer become more sustainable. So I would say that dealers should know these things, and we will try to convince them on this dimension. Like in the long run, it is beneficial to every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to hear any other options you have considered, any in addition to what you have presented. Like, can you walk us through any other strategic options that you have thought through in when you formulate your strategy for Porsche?
Okay. During this whole process of brainstorming and finalizing our solutions, we actually came up with a few solutions along the way, and but we considered them kind of impractical and did not try to implement them. And such solutions included like might take some time to recall.
Yeah,
because it was kind of.
No, it's okay. Like if it's just too random, yeah, go for it, Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Like at the beginning, we thought that there's no dealership between. Like we thought that Porsche directly contact with their customer, and so we actually think the only way to solve the problem presented by this case is to like add some educational program to his employees. But after searching on the internet, we found out that they're actually a dealership between these companies, and so we come up with the idea that there may be some agency problem there, and so the whole direction suddenly turned to how can we design a good enough economic mechanism to solve this agency problem. Yeah, so and also one of our previous ideas is like we would like to try to reduce the process between the communication friction between the dealership and the customer, and also the Porsche's subsidiary regionally, and the Porsche's parents companies, and also the factory. But after considering that, building a IT system is actually pretty impractical solution. So we eventually gave up that idea. Yeah.
Great.
Any follow-up questions from the judges? We still have quite a bit of time left.
So maybe another one for me. I think you talk about the inventory and supply chain. So I think that's a very good one and really like a timely one in this like a context. But like going up inventory, like finding diversified like a suppliers take time, which is like what you said, which is fair. But that also probably takes more cost. So have you considered how this, by reducing the lead time, you increase the inventory, you're increasing the cost? How do you take the cost benefit side of it? Because like I'm seeing there's quite a bit of cost uptake on that one. How do you balance, and how do you make, say, like how much cost, how much inventory that you are increasing to a very high level, let's say double, but it will be costing quite a lot of money. And like so I just want to see how do you tackle that part of the almost like an idea and turn it into more like an analysis.
And Evan, do you want to answer the cost analysis?
Okay, thank you, judges, and I will try to take this question. So honestly, we don't conduct cost benefit analysis and for our solution too, because we think it is more about the inner operation of the company. So actually we have thought think that many car companies try to move their just-in-time process to just-in-case process, and which requires more inventory level. And we think this is a trend in the car industry. So, and we suggest Porsche to follow this trend and to increase their inventory level to the safe margin. And in case the surging demand in 2021 happen again. Yeah, so I think the benefit is pretty hard to be quantified. So it is like we try to mitigate that risk. Yeah.
So I think because it is it's actually a big trend within industrial sector. So we've seen that many of the companies actually raised their inventory level from around 4 to 5% of their revenue to about 7 to 8%. So the percentage is about double. So because we now don't have specific figures about the inventory level of Porsche, but based on those benchmark, we would say that maybe a Porsche can increase its inventory level, can double its inventory level in case the future supply certainty happen again. Yeah.
Do you consider other options in this? Just like in terms of the target is to address the supply chain issues, i.e. the lead time, right? What other options might be possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another option is to find more sources, like we can cooperate with more downstream factories, so that can ensure that when these provider cannot provide the component we want, then we can turn to other companies. And during the discussion process, we have thought that maybe we can change the manufacturing process of Porsche, but in the end, we actually think that it is a trade-off, because it wants to build a luxury brand, so highly customize its goal, and it will cost its manufacturing process longer than other like Toyota such mobile factories. So in the end, we decided not to suggest the change of the total manufacturing process, but to change the inventory policy and the sourcing policy. Yeah.
If I may ask regarding again the slide on the cost benefit analysis. So I see that you put in a cost but no number in the benefits. So I was just wondering if the cost there in that particular slide, do you consider it small or big?
So judges, can you repeat the question again?
So if you can go back to the slide where you calculate the cost there, 2 million, the 2.6 million cost. Do you think that's small or big? Like, do you have an estimate of how many additional customers you need to get to be able to cover that cost? Because I'm assuming that with rising customer satisfaction, you'll get more sales. So do you have like an estimate of like a good measurement of how, if you think that number is big or small?
Okay, I will take this question. And we have come to some research about the revenue of Porsche, and it's about 2 million euro dollars. About its about its whole operation, and we think our solution is aiming for the whole Porsche brand. So, and this 2 million HKD is calculated in HKD. So we think it is at a reasonable level. So, and as for the benefit, as we think that is more obvious in the long run, we can have a rising customer satisfaction, and which can turn to customer retention rate is being higher. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would like to follow up. And after some simple calculations, like we, like the price of a Porsche, we found that it will only take about 2,000 more customers to reach the break-even point. And that's the end of our answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, team from Taiwan University. I would now like to ask the judges to stay behind to deliberate. Everyone else, please move to the waiting room, and we will call you back, students, once the judges are ready to give you some feedback.